Hey, what's up everybody? Ray here. Figured I'd come on here with another theory speculation video for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've seen a lot of people debating me on this subject and just debating in general on the subject. Friendly conversation, nothing too horrible. But people are like, is Jenova controlling Sephiroth, or is Sephiroth in control of Jenova's powers? Jenova's the real villain of Final Fantasy VII and all this kind of stuff. So I wanted to dive into my thoughts on that, my take. You all can do what you want to with it, just give you my take on it. But before I get into that, if you all would, subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video. I appreciate the hell out of all the support you all have been giving me. Also, make sure to follow me at Kaufman20XX. right here on Instagram and Twitter. I would very much appreciate that. Follow me on the conversation on there. And let's get right into it. So, a lot of people think that, Jenova is, the Dark Harbinger, Heaven's Dark Harbinger, and all that kind of thing. And at one time, she was the big bad, right? She was the big bad for the Cetra. Her remains were unearthed. Her DNA is used for people in the soldier program. She is an omnipotent evil force throughout the story. Even the shades of dark purple and black that are present throughout the remake all hint to Jenova. It's even in the color of her blood that's all over the place when Sephiroth's test subject, clone, whatever you want to call it, takes her body, and the purple and black ooze and blood is everywhere. But if you look at this from a thematic and storytelling standpoint, I feel like my take is that Sephiroth is the main villain. He is the most powerful villain in the story, and Jenova is the power-up, right? She's the power-up. She's the source of his power, and you could say that no Jenova, no Sephiroth. That's true, right? But as far as by the end of the game, the top most dominant force of evil, antagonistic threat in the game is Sephiroth. The game even tells you, OG Final Fantasy VII even tells you, you fight Jenova right before you go to fight Bizarro Sephiroth. It's like the pecking order, right? She's like the mini boss before you get to Sephiroth. And in the game, in the story of the game, they talk about Jenova. They talk about all what she was, the history of the ancients, the history of the Cetra, and she is very potent throughout the story. But Sephiroth's the big bad. Sephiroth is the face of evil in the story. He is the absolute dominant driving force of everything happening in the story. Meteor is his plan. The black materia, Meteor, to destroy the planet and use it as a vessel to sail the cosmos and all that kind of thing. That's his plan. That's all him. Using the abilities of Jenova and all that kind of stuff. Now, her abilities make things possible for him to do while his body is in stasis in the Northern Crater. We all know that. Like him appearing as phantoms or appearing as inhabiting the bodies of the different test subjects. That is because of Jenova's power, but that's why I say she's more of a power-up. If you look at Sephiroth as Mario, Jenova is the mushroom, basically. That's how this dynamic works with the two of them. She's a non-character. She doesn't speak. She doesn't have any characteristics. She's just a source of power. That's it. She's a non-character. She's a non-character. She's a big monster that you fight a few times throughout the game, but Sephiroth is the character. And I feel like to say that she's the real villain of the story or whatever, I know there's a lot of people that want to see Sephiroth redeemed in the story, like this redemption story for Sephiroth and all that kind of thing. But I almost feel like that's kind of a character assassination on him. He is so great originally because he is so bad. You don't want to be someone like that, but in a source of fiction, storytelling, especially fantasy, to have like that Sauron, that Darth Vader, that Sephiroth, that Captain Eisen from Bleach, you know, all these other great villains throughout history, Voldemort from Harry Potter. You've got all these great villains who are charismatic. Well, Sauron's not charismatic. I'll throw that one out. But all these other villains are very charismatic. And the great stories have a great villain that can carry that part of the load of the storytelling. You see what I'm saying? Jenova's not that. Jenova isn't that, and she won't ever be that unless they do like some kind of like backstory like game, a spin-off game with the ancients and like Jenova landing on the planet in whatever form she had, because, you know, she's the manipulator, she's a great deceiver, she's a liar, you know. She can make you see things or whatever that aren't real. Now, before you all get into, you know, well, maybe she's just really Sephiroth making us see this. I'm taking some things you can take in a story at face value and appreciate them for what they are and take them literally. Like how there's some things that a writer and a storyteller have to give you as far as like the creation of a character and a villain and carrying out and executing those characters. One of them is this tangible believability. You know, to be engrossed in a story, there has to be an element of believability to it. Like, so no matter how many like shades of gray and how many like manipulations that Sephiroth and Jenova throw at the viewer, there still has to be an element there that ties you to Sephiroth as the villain, or the story loses its weight. I say all that to say this. Sephiroth is the main bad guy of Final Fantasy VII. That's my take. You can have your take. That's totally cool. That's just how I feel. Sephiroth is the main villain of Final Fantasy VII. Jenova is just a source of power. She's a source of power for him to draw his abilities from, and it's Jenova is basically what pushes, the knowledge of Jenova is what pushes Sephiroth over the edge. Kind of like what happened to Genesis when he found out his real parents weren't his real parents, all the experimentation. So Sephiroth, he learns about all the experimentation, he learns about all this stuff. He learns that he was actually, like, his abilities and stuff are from Jenova, and he goes crazy thinking that that's his mother, when that's really not his mother. You know, Lucrezia's his mother. Like, Jenova is just the cells that was injected into him as a child to power him up. That was it. That's Jenova's role in the story. Aside from wrecking the ancients before what I feel were the Knights of the Round, that were the 13 Cetra that beat her. But she was wrecking them, and then she got beat, and her body was left buried in the Northern Crater until she was unearthed by Shinra. But her whole role in Final Fantasy VII's story is to just be a source of juice for Soldier and Sephiroth. That's it. The power up for them. And they keep her body in the Shinra Tower and harvest her cells for that reason. And Sephiroth has learned how to harness many of her abilities. So, I mean, we don't ever even really hear what would be considered Jenova's voice in the story. Like, she doesn't even have a voice, much less a face that you see just in a flashback, like when she still had a head, right? So, but anyway, let me know what y'all think about that in the comments below. Don't forget to throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're into that. So, I appreciate all the love, all the talking we do back and forth with you guys. It's really fun for me to do that, to speculate with you all and have a good time with that. So these videos are very fun for me to do. So I had seen a lot of people talking about this one. I want to throw it out there tonight for you all. Do what you will with it. Let's have some good conversations. Let's talk to each other in the comments below. I appreciate it. And thanks for everybody who has been coming out to my Twitch streams. I've been doing Remake again. We're finishing it up tomorrow night. We're going to be finished. So Thursday night, we're probably going to finish up Remake before we jump into Resident Evil Village. So I appreciate you all so much for the love and support. Be sure to follow me on all the social media up there. And until next time, you all be good to each other. Stay safe out there and keep rocking. and I will see you all in the next video.